The crater was still smoldering when I arrived. The air crackled with residual energy from the meteor strike, and my Geiger counter clicked sporadically, hinting at traces of radiation. HFY had always been a treasure trove of unknowns, but this was different. This was new. The crater's edge crumbled under my boots as I peered down into the smoldering pit. Amidst the debris, something metallic caught my eye. My heart quickened. I scrambled down, rocks and ash clinging to my clothes. Nestled within the crater's depths, partially buried under alien soil, was a pod. Its surface was slick, almost organic, with a network of faintly glowing veins running across it. The pod hummed softly, but it was clear it was failing. The life support systems indicated by the flickering lights were on the brink of shutting down. Through a small, transparent window I saw it, a small, curled form, almost fetal in appearance. An alien embryo. My mind raced. Leaving it here meant certain death for the creature inside. I couldn't let that happen. The decision was made in an instant. With a grunt, I heaved the pod out of the crater and made my way back to the lab, every step feeling like a race against time. Back at the lab, I worked quickly. The pod systems were beyond repair, so I transferred the embryo into a specially designed incubator. The lab's sterile white walls contrasted sharply with the alien form that now lay under my care. I monitored the vitals closely, adjusting the temperature and nutrient flow to mimic the conditions it needed. Days blurred together. I slept in snatches, always with one eye on the monitors. The embryo grew rapidly, its form becoming more defined each day. I documented everything: its cell division rates, metabolic processes, and the strange bioluminescent patterns that danced across its skin. By the end of the week, the pod had transformed. What had once been an embryo now looked like a child, small but undeniably sentient. Eyes that glowed softly in the dim light of the lab blinked open, and I felt a pang of something profound. Responsibility, perhaps. I named her Lyra, after the constellation that had always fascinated me as a child. Raising Lyra was an experience that defied all my previous knowledge. She learned quickly, her intelligence outstripping any human child's by miles. Teaching her language, culture, and human customs became a daily routine. Each morning started with lessons, simple words and phrases at first, followed by more complex ideas and histories. Lyra's abilities were astonishing. She communicated not just through speech, but through telepathy, her thoughts clear and vibrant in my mind. Her skin glowed in different colors, reflecting her emotions: blue for calm, red for anger, green for curiosity. It was mesmerizing. I found myself growing more attached to her with each passing day. She wasn't just a subject of study. She was my daughter in every way that mattered. We shared meals, played games, and spent evenings under the artificial starlight of the lab's projection dome. Lyra loved stories, and I told her tales from Earth, her luminous eyes wide with wonder. As Lyra grew, I became more secretive. Dr. Rachel Elwood, my colleague, noticed the change. Rachel was sharp and persistent, qualities that made her an excellent scientist, but a troublesome ally when secrets were involved. One evening, as I was working late, Rachel barged into the lab. Her eyes narrowed as she took in the scene, Lyra sitting at a desk, reading a book with her glowing fingers. "What the hell is this, Thomas?" Rachel's voice was a mix of shock and anger. I sighed, knowing there was no way to hide it now. "Rachel, meet Lyra." Rachel's horror was palpable. She rounded on me, her face flushed. "You've been raising an alien child in secret? Do you have any idea what kind of repercussions this could have?" "She's not a threat," I insisted, keeping my voice calm. "She's intelligent, kind, and curious. She's not just an alien. She's a sentient being who deserves a chance." Rachel's expression softened slightly, but the tension remained. "This is reckless, Thomas, but I can see she's special. I'll keep your secret, but we need to be careful. If anyone else finds out, it could mean the end for both of you." Years passed, and Lyra matured into a young woman. Her growth was accompanied by changes that both fascinated and troubled me. Her telepathic abilities became more refined, and she started experiencing human-like emotions more deeply. One night, as we sat together in the lab, a profound telepathic exchange occurred. Lyra's thoughts were clear and intense, filled with an emotion that mirrored my own. It wasn't just affection, it was love. "Thomas," Lyra's voice echoed in my mind. "I feel something. More." I looked at her, understanding dawning with a mix of awe and fear. "I feel it too, Lyra." The ethical and societal implications of our feelings were overwhelming, but the connection was undeniable. We spent the night grappling with our emotions, knowing that our bond had crossed a line we never anticipated. The discovery of the alien embryo had set us on an unexpected path, one fraught with conflict and drama. But as I looked at Lyra, her skin glowing softly with the colors of her emotions, I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together. The air in the lab was thick with unspoken words. Lyra and I had been dancing around our feelings for weeks, maybe months. Every glance, every touch, carried weight. Finally, one evening as we sat together in the observation deck, the artificial stars above us, I couldn't hold it in any longer. "Lyra, there's something I need to tell you," I began, my voice betraying the turmoil inside me. She turned to me, her eyes glowing softly, encouraging me to continue. I think I love you." Her eyes widened, and for a moment I feared rejection. But then she smiled, her telepathic voice filling my mind with warmth. "I love you too, Thomas." The floodgates opened. We confessed our feelings, the depth of our bond, and the impossibility of ignoring it any longer. That night, under the canopy of artificial stars, we promised ourselves to each other. We married in the lab, a simple ceremony with no witnesses, only the hum of the equipment and the soft glow of Lyra's skin to mark the occasion. Unbeknownst to us, our union triggered something deep within the planet. Buried under layers of rock and soil, an ancient beacon flickered to life, sending out a signal that would bring a storm to our doorstep. It was early morning when the sky over Orcs 4 darkened. I stood in the lab, staring out at the horizon, when a ship unlike any I'd seen before descended. Sleek and otherworldly, it landed with a precision that spoke of advanced technology. Einar emerged from the ship, a tall figure with an aura of authority. His eyes, deep and piercing, fixed on me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. He walked with purpose, each step echoing the weight of his mission. "Dr. Thomas Archer," Einar said, his voice resonating with an unnatural clarity. "I am Einar, enforcer of the Valari. Your union with Lyra has triggered ancient laws meant to prevent such relationships." I felt a chill run down my spine. Lyra stepped forward, her skin glowing with a mix of defiance and fear. "What do you mean?" she demanded. Einar's gaze softened slightly as he looked at Lyra. "Your marriage has awakened laws that have lain dormant for millennia. This union could either lead to the unification of our species, or our mutual destruction." Einar insisted we accompany him to meet the Elder, a sage who resided in a hidden sanctuary on Orcs 4. The journey was treacherous, through dense alien forests and over rocky terrain. Lyra stayed close to me, her hand in mine, her bioluminescence lighting our path. The Elder's sanctuary was a place of awe-inspiring beauty. Bioluminescent plants and ancient carvings decorated the walls, telling stories of times long past. The Elder himself was an enigmatic figure, his eyes holding centuries of wisdom. "Welcome," the Elder greeted us, his voice a gentle whisper that seemed to resonate with the very air around us. "You have come because the prophecy has been awakened." He led us to a chamber deep within the sanctuary, where ancient texts and holographic images revealed the prophecy. "A human and an alien will unite, bringing either a new era of peace or an age of chaos," the Elder explained. "The outcome depends on your actions, your choices." I glanced at Lyra, her eyes reflecting the weight of the revelation. We were at the center of something far bigger than ourselves. News of our relationship spread like wildfire. Orcs IV, once a remote outpost, became the epicenter of a brewing conflict. Human and alien societies reacted with hostility, viewing our union as an abomination. Protests erupted outside the lab, angry mobs demanding that we be separated, even executed. Threats poured in, and we found ourselves under constant siege. One night, a rock smashed through the lab window, a message of hate scrawled across it. Dr. Rachel Elwood, initially horrified by our secret, emerged as an unexpected ally. "Thomas, Lara," she said, her voice firm, "we need to fight back. We need to show them what you really are." Rachel used her scientific expertise to help us navigate the growing tension. She arranged for interviews, public statements, and demonstrations of Lyra's abilities to prove that she was not a threat, but a bridge between our worlds. Despite our efforts, the backlash intensified. We faced violent confrontations, barely escaping an attack by a radical faction that sought to end our lives. Lyra's skin glowed with stress and fear, but she stood by me, her resolve unshaken. One evening, as we huddled in the lab, exhausted from the constant battles, Lyra took my hand. "Thomas, whatever happens, we're in this together." Her words were a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the darkness that surrounded us. As we prepared for whatever came next, I knew that our love, forbidden and fraught with peril, was the one thing that could guide us through the storm. The sky was streaked with ominous clouds as we prepared for the worst. Reports of a radical faction of the Valari, known as the Purists, had reached us. Their leader, a zealot named Corin, believed that our union would herald chaos. They were coming for us, determined to prevent the prophecy from unfolding. "We need to leave," Einar urged, his usually calm demeanor fraying at the edges. "The Elder's sanctuary is the only safe place now." Lyra's hand tightened around mine, her glow dimmed, reflecting her anxiety. "We can't keep running forever, Thomas." "We won't," I promised, my voice steadier than I felt. "But we need to survive this first." We fled into the dense forests surrounding our lab, the sounds of pursuit close behind. Einar led the way, his knowledge of the terrain proving invaluable. Rachel and a few loyal colleagues joined us, their determination unwavering despite the danger. The first attack came as we crossed a rocky ravine. Blaster fire lit up the night, forcing us to dive for cover. Lyra's telepathic warning saved us from a direct hit, her abilities now our greatest asset. "Einar, we need to hold them off!" I shouted over the chaos. Einar nodded, his eyes hardening with resolve. "Rachel, take Thomas and Lyra to the sanctuary. I'll cover your escape." "No, we stay together," Lyra protested, but Einar's look silenced her. With a final nod, we ran, leaving Einar and a few brave souls to face the attackers. The sounds of conflict faded as we pushed deeper into the forest, my heart heavy with the knowledge of the sacrifices being made for our sake. We reached the Elder's sanctuary at dawn, exhausted but alive. The Elder met us at the entrance, his expression grave. "The time has come," he said softly. "You must fulfill the prophecy." Lyra and I exchanged a look, understanding passing between us without words. We had always known this moment might come, but the reality of it was harrowing. "The prophecy speaks of unity," the Elder continued. "Your love has the power to bridge the gap between our species, but it requires a sacrifice." "We're ready," Lyra said, her voice steady. The ceremony was prepared quickly. We stood at the center of a stone circle, surrounded by ancient symbols and the soft glow of bioluminescent plants. Rachel and our remaining allies watched from the edges, their faces a mix of hope and fear. "Thomas, Lyra," the Elder intoned, "your bond must transcend the physical. You will link your consciousness, sharing your thoughts and emotions with all of us." Lyra's telepathic abilities flared to life, her mind reaching out to mine. The sensation was overwhelming, a torrent of emotions and memories flooding my senses. I felt her love, her fears, her hopes, all of it laid bare. We must guide them, Lyra whispered in my mind. Show them what we feel. Together we projected our consciousness outward. It was like opening a door to a new world. I felt the minds of the Volari and humans alike, their initial resistance giving way to curiosity, then understanding. Images of our journey flashed before them, our discovery, our bond, the struggles we faced. They saw us not as an abomination, but as a symbol of what could be achieved through unity. The shared experience left us drained, but the effect was profound. Hostilities eased, the sense of connection and empathy fostering a newfound desire for peace. The radical faction of the Volari, witnessing the overwhelming support for unity, retreated, their resolve shattered. In the days that followed, representatives from both species began to negotiate, inspired by our example. Lyra and I watched from the sidelines, our role complete, but our impact everlasting. Years passed, and the world changed. Orosima 4 became a symbol of hope and cooperation, a testament to what love and sacrifice could achieve. Lyra and I lived in peaceful isolation, our story becoming a legend told across the galaxy. Our love had transcended the boundaries of our physical forms, our consciousnesses forever linked in the minds of those we had touched.